first up, what I want to mention is, we do keep talking about basically this trade war. I think an important fact that we must keep in mind that overall, if you look at India's share in world trade, it's actually 2%. Think about it. It's basically 2%, which means that, even in a world where basically the trade pie, let's say, is shrinking, we can increase that slice significantly and yet grow. So in my opinion, actually, and this is something that's obviously, as economists, all of us have our own interpretation of that data. But I would say I would rather focus on the fact that we are only right now at 2% of the slice. If we increase even in a shrinking pie, and that pie is not going to be shrinking that dramatically, if we go to a 10% of that pie, we'll be significant. So rather than worrying about basically the shrinking pie, let's focus on having a bigger part of that pie and really sort of rather than sort of being let's say not strategic about it, we should be looking at particular sectors and making strategical strikes, and that's where productivity becomes really critical. And what I spoke about earlier about, so one of the key things that an economist and most business people would admit is the benefits that come from economies of scale. Productivity really gets enhanced when you have scale. And if you have to basically be productive, if you have to export, you have to be productive. Why? Because any consumer, if you think about any one of us, we buy an imported good only if we get a good basically at a lower price for the same quality, or we get a higher quality for the same price. Same psyche prevails for actually the for the consumer worldwide as well, and that is all about productivity. So we need to be focusing on first the increasing our share. How will that increase in share come about? We have to really double down on increasing productivity, and that's where we have to focus on letting our MSMEs actually grow and sort of remove some of these perverse incentives for them to remain small and thereby unproductive, and thereby sort of not very capable to go and compete in the export markets. I'll give you one more example to just establish the idea. If I have a son, 13-year-old son. If I keep telling my son, hey son, don't go and play outside. There are big kids out there who'll beat you up, who'll basically not give you, if you play basketball, they'll not give you the ball. I keep saying you stay inside home and actually just shoot here. He will never learn the ability to go and actually play, with those. If good parenting is about saying, okay, today you may not be able to go and get the ball, you may play for an hour and maybe not even get to touch the ball, but if you keep going and doing that, you'll actually learn to sort of compete with those big, and that is what good parenting is about. Similarly, with our firms too, we have to say you have to become productive if you have to go and compete in the market. So bottom line, we need to be focusing on increasing our share, and that increase in share cannot come via palliatives, has to come via productivity improvements.